when I come into a brand like this, I think I was extremely lucky that my manager, my boss actually asked me to take the first 2 months to listen. I
Hmm.
was not into working meetings right away. I was in meetings to listen. And if I had like a induction meeting with somebody, that was taking precedent on any other meeting on my calendar. So I took the time
Yep.
to meet with as many stakeholders as possible, to build those relationships, get to understand, first of all, understand who they were, why they were working there, what their point of view was, etc., etc. But also like sitting in meetings and trying to understand where I could add value, because the team
Hmm.
is extremely talented. Like they were not, I told you, this was the number one makeup. It is the number one makeup brand in the world. So they didn't need me to kind of fix anything. However, the
Yep.
reason why I was hired was to add value in certain domains. And I have
Yep.
had those conversations before I came on board, but I wanted to really understand if the conversation I've had were matching with the reality I was facing on the ground. So this is the best gift. I think I'm now like repeating this with my teams. When I hire somebody, I'm like, okay, take your time. It's not great on the team because you want everybody to kind of jump in, but it's so much better for the long term, and also for that person. So I listened, I tried to understand where I could add value, and I started to see pockets of where we could accelerate, where we could shape things further, medium, short, medium, and long term, working on the makeup recovery, working on our innovation pipeline for the future post COVID, hopefully, world. What does that mean, from a category standpoint, from an innovation standpoint? And also, basically, double downing on what the team was doing already, which is, accelerating online. Like we're a digital first brand. So for us, during the pandemic, it was just the opportunity to really like refocus on making sure that we had the right capabilities to really continue to drive strength in digital. So there's a lot of work that goes into, obviously creating the right content, having, the right technology, two things that we actually, like done, like it's virtual try-ons. So
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
technology to allow people to really be able to shop from afar, from the couch, from the iPads. And our technology is the strongest in the industry, I think, And we met this technology was existing before the pandemic for Mac, but during the pandemic, we actually extended the technology to 35 countries and over
Yep.
800 SKUs, which is, basically the breadth of what you can find on our online channel. You can try eyeshadows, lipstick. So we've brought this strengthening, the connection with the consumer online, but also thinking of how you merge online and physical. So how do
Yep.
you build omnichannel capabilities? So VTOs are now in. We have this in some of our few stores, but like we have our innovation labs that we started during COVID in the Queen Center. It's a store you should come. Like the next time you are in New York, I would love to take you there. It's a
I would love
Yeah,
to
we call it the
come.
Red Store. It's a store that functions for us like an innovation lab. It's totally mobile first, so it's inspired by one of the store we had in Shanghai that were built with the WeChat ecosystem. So mobile first, you can come into the store, shop, interact, everything from your mobile. You don't have to speak with an
Yeah.
artist. Of course, we have artists in the store if you do want to speak with them, but you can create looks, virtually, and then like buy. There is an opportunity for you to create your pass, and like save the looks you like best, understand what's trending locally, etc., etc. So we taking these learnings and scaling them back to the retail, because our stores are still our superpower, even if online is super strong. And
Well, your
then
stores and your artists, right? Both of those things, right? That physical presence is a big advantage for you guys.
Exactly. And then the other thing we've tried, obviously strengthen omni-channel capabilities, pick up in store, buy online, like whatever you want, payment facilitations and all this stuff have been really accelerated during the pandemic. The other thing that we did is social commerce. So social commerce, it's also something that we lean into. We dropped a collection with Rosalia in, I think it was early in October, but we dropped that collection early on Instagram, shoppable. So we also have shoppable lens on Snapchat. So we're doing a bunch of different things to lean into the new modern world that seems to be here to stay.
Yep.
And yeah, so
Well, I can say one of the things that's really interesting about that, right? And there's two observations that I think I made from what you were talking about, right? So the first one, talking about the technology angle, one of the underrated elements, I think, of being so forward leaning when it comes to technology and these kinds of, elements is that just from a consumer perception perspective, right? I perceive a brand that is forward leaning from a digital perspective in a very different way than I perceive a brand that's not, right? So, regardless of whatever conversions happen from that and whatever measurable results, directly measurable results, from a brand equity perspective, right? I view the brand as like young, vibrant, investing in the future, right? So, like all of these elements just change the way that I perceive the brand, even if I don't actually end up using the technology, right? Like we had Steve, who was the Steve Lesnar, who was the CMO at North Face, was formerly SVP of the running group at Nike. And I use the Nike running app, right? And like I don't know, I've never bought a shoe because of the Nike running app, right? That's going to be directly attributable. But that changes my perception of Nike, right? It's like, oh no, this is a technology first, forward leaning digital brand. And so I think it's just such a, I just love it. I love that that's working for you guys.
yeah, no, and I also feel like it's just about being consumer obsessed, right? Today we all
Yeah.
like, I look at my kids, like everybody is in technology in a way of other, in spite of, me like having a no screen policy that went out of the windows with COVID, obviously, at home.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
My kids are extremely technology savvy. I saw them like going from a real classroom to Google Classroom like within 2 weeks and
Yeah.
sharing with me how to add a background, how to mute, how to bring somebody in the meeting. And I was like, how, like, they're just, we are investing in technology, but the next generation is not even thinking about being invested in technology. They're just live by it. So I feel
Just
like,
please.
yeah, so I feel like for me, like my kids are my focus group. They're like my favorite things to watch. My kids, their friends, like this young generation, so inspiring to me, like for what the future is going to look like. But it's really, like the fact that we brands need to behave like we behave, like employees behave in their personal life, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I shop online all the time. I expect a fast delivery. I expect a flawless consumer service. When I go to store, I really want this to be worth my time of like traveling to the store. I think like what is true for me is true for any consumer. So I always tell the teams, like, would you if you want to do something, would you like to share that at the dinner with your friend, like your closest friend? Is it something you think you want to brag about, or it's something that you don't want to talk about because you don't think it's cool enough or it's hype enough, So ask
Yeah.
yourself the question of like that you will ask yourself when you are the consumer, when you're shopping, and that should be your lens. And take risk. We are in the beauty industry. We sell lipstick, It's not, it's okay if we fail.
Like have fun. It's
Have
okay.
fun. Yeah, exactly.